Good afternoon. My name is Stuart Kaplow, and I'm a green building and sustainable business attorney. Today, we're going to talk about LEED, critical issues for architects. We're going to talk about avoiding liability for architects and other design professionals. The release in advance of this convention of the AIA 6 new sustainable contract documents really sets the stage and, more importantly, helps identify the risks, the opportunities, and some of the unique goals available for architects today in green building. Risk mitigation is all important, not only to architects in green building, but also to builders and owners of green buildings. Engineers, lead consultants, contractors, material men, suppliers, landlords, brokers, tenants, even attorneys, all who are involved in that revolution that is green building, all of those folks dealing in the construction of new buildings and renovations of existing buildings need to be concerned about matters of risk mitigation. Against the backdrop of local governments mandating green building laws, state procurement laws requiring that government buildings be green, federal government requiring LEED certification for new rentals, the GSA requiring tenant fit-outs be Energy Star rated for lease renewals, the Army requiring construction meeting the new ASHRAE 189.1 standard, not to mention tenants desiring LEED certification for their tenant space. And lest we forget landlords that desire green buildings, whether the landlord wants to guarantee to a particular tenant that the space will be LEED certified, or if the tenant is requiring it in and of himself. Not to mention the risks associated with consumer protection laws when building green for consumers. All of these are matters of potential jeopardy for those involved in green building. While there's no single pill to swallow to limit or otherwise avoid green liability, there is a single opportunity that stands out above all others. A properly drafted contract document is the number one opportunity for limiting liability in green building. Contracts that are not drafted to take advantage of the uniqueness of green buildings are simply a blown opportunity today. There are clear lines of liability that can easily be contracted away with a properly drawn contract document. Now look, it's a little boring. It's not the kind of stuff you wake up in the morning and plan to do or look forward to doing even the next day. In fact, you'd like to put it off as long as you can. You'd like not to telephone your lawyer. You certainly don't want to see your attorney. It's far too expensive to see your attorney. But I assure you, the opportunities at risk mitigation are very, very real. You know, it's admittedly a very long time from the Code of Hammurabi, but I'm taken by the quote that if a builder builds a house for someone and the house which he built falls, then the builder shall be put to death. Well, death is probably not an opportunity today, or at least not a certainty. But we need to understand that today, millions of dollars are at risk in green building liability claims. Just last week, the U.S. District Court of Maryland dismissed a $6 million claim, a lawsuit filed over the first LEED Platinum building. The Chesapeake Bay Foundation that had asserted in a breach of contract and negligence claim against Weyerhaeuser, arising from construction of the Philip Merrill Environmental Center. The building, built on the shores of the Chesapeake Bay, has been much acclaimed, many accolades, and again, was the first LEED Platinum building anywhere, anyhow. Well, the building contemplated the use of recycled wood material for those beams that are easily seen in the photograph, but it rained. The wood got wet. It swelled. It cracked, and some 10 years later, the Chesapeake Bay Foundation filed suit against Weyerhaeuser, who fabricated the concrete materials. The claim described the cracking of the wood, the splintering of the wood, and the discoloration of the wood. Kind of the things that wood does when exposed to the environment for more than 10 years. On March 23rd of this year, the U.S. District Court dismissed the lawsuit, determining that the statute of limitations had run as described in the contract documents, and specifically determining that should such a claim have been brought, it would have needed to have been brought more than 5 years ago. It's important to note that the court's determination was based on the contract documents. As I mentioned at the outset, AIA recently reduced a new series of sustainable project documents. Our purpose today is not to simply read you the names of those documents, but to make clear that they've been crafted after literally several years of work to specifically address the risks, the liabilities, and the potential claims in sustainable projects. The documents are good, but what's great, if not paradigm shifting, is the AIA Sustainable Guide released last fall. In advance of release of the documents, a guidance document was released that discussed for not only architects and not only for design professionals, but for all in the green field, the parameters of green building, discussing how to apportion opportunities in a project, maybe better for this audience, how to apportion risk in a green building project. That single document is available on the AIA website and is truly paradigm shifting. And not that I want to in any way besmirch or otherwise not give proper due to the 6 new release documents, but last year's sustainability guide is truly paradigm shifting and clearly a document that you want to review. All documents, all opportunities, whether drafted by your attorney, the very best attorney on the planet, change over time. With the release of the new AIA form documents, the standard of care will change in many jurisdictions in this country simply by the release of those documents. But also the release of the new version of LEED 2012, will require that many contract terms, that many of those provisions that we're all used to seeing and that have become standard in our nomenclature will be different, will be changed, will be updated, but more importantly, will need to be modified sometime after November of this coming year. One of the few matters not dealt with in the new AIA documents or the sustainability guide is the GBCI, Confirmation of Agents Authority. And my goal was not that you'd be able to read all the words on the screen, except to say that this is one of those provisions where design professionals registering projects with LEED Online regularly just initial or sign the owner's name and move on. Very often you're obligating an owner to utility reporting in the future, to green power purchasing in the future, to green cleaning in the future. This is one of those provisions that needs to be dealt with early on in discussions with an owner. You know, one of the other issues that is of import as we look at contract provisions sometimes is not the language itself in the document, but the team of folks who have come together and are signing that series of documents. We're all familiar with that sort of weak link subcontractor, the guy who's first on the job, or the gal who, well, it's her first real project. In particular in the green world, there are an awful lot of folks dabbling who are not necessarily professionals. The number 2 opportunity for limiting liability is for the architect, for the principal design team member, to assign away or otherwise not be principally responsible for the green. That is, to have the LEED accredited professional on the project team work for the owner and not work for the architect. It may sound counterintuitive, and an awful lot of architects are likely to say, yes, but I'm going to lose those fees. It's a balance as with many project decisions that are made in a large project. This doesn't necessarily mean the architect isn't doing the work, doesn't mean the other design professionals aren't doing the work. What it does mean is principal responsibility for LEED associated issues, in particular for those issues that are reported to LEED Online through GBCI, are handled by a third party, are handled by someone who, while a key member of the design team, works for the owner. So again, in conclusion, let me note, number 1 way to limit liability is a properly drawn contract document. The new sustainable project forms from AIA offer that opportunity. maybe better than even those very good forms, is the AIA Sustainability Guide. Again, also available on the AIA website. It happens to be free, and you can actually access it from the homepage of AIA's website. That sustainability guide is maybe the very best, that paradigm-shifting opportunity for limiting liability. And second, the second opportunity for limiting liability really has to do with having the lead accredited professional, principally responsible on the team, not work for the architect, but rather work directly for the owner. Thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure today.